everyone. Dark Art here with another interview. We are today at the Prophecy Fest in the cave of Balve, and I'm sitting here with Tim Yatras, who's known for playing in Germ and also in Austere, among other projects. And yeah, hi Tim, hope you're doing well.
Hello, yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
Oh, yeah, well, fine, thank you. You just played with Germ,
Yeah.
the first show. Like, how did you like the show? Like, what did you experience?
It was okay for me. I've only done a few Germ shows sort of in the last 10 years even, so it's difficult. We don't get to rehearse because, you know, the guys live all over the world, like, so I think it was okay. I hope it was okay. I had fun, so yeah, that's the main thing. Whether other people liked it doesn't matter, as long as I did.
Yeah, one could see that you were really energetic on stage. You really had fun. At least that's what I think many people would say when they see your performance.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we don't play Germ live very often. I think in the last year we've done 3 shows, and then before that the last show was like 2018, so it's not very often. And then especially in like the cave, it's really cool, so I was just trying to enjoy it and sort of have a good time myself.
So how do you like Prophecy Fest in general? Because in the past you played here before. You played in 2022 with Austere,
Yep.
But also 2016 with Germ. Like I think it was back then like the first European show. And
it was.
Yeah, and it was amazing. It was like a very, like, for me personally, like really special show back then when I saw you for the first time. Like, how do you? What are your memories of Prophecy Fest, and what? How do you like it in general? Like, especially with this special atmosphere in the cave.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I think this is maybe the 6th time I've been to Prophecy Fest. So yeah, the first time was 2015, and then Martin asked me, like, while we were here, oh, do you want to play next year with Germ? And I said, yeah, for sure. And then, yeah, we came back with Austere. I came back a couple of other times. And then I was here last year because I wanted to see Agalok. And yeah, this year here with Germ and Austere. So it's always good, you know, I'll come here whenever I can.
Yeah.
Please speak a little bit louder.
Okay.
So yeah, today actually in this interview we only talk about Germ, because there's I think a lot to discuss about Germ, and maybe we do Austere another time, but this time we talk about Germ. And I would like to start with a bit on reflection on Germ's first album, Wish, that you released 12 years ago.
12 years.
12
Wow.
years already, yeah. Like songs like An Overdose on Cosmic Galaxy and Flowers Bloom, Flowers Fall really stuck in my mind since I heard them for the first time. Additionally, introducing me to the fact that it might be a good idea to mix black metal inspired music with synthesizer. It was actually my first experience to hear something like that. How do you look at and feel about the release of Wish nowadays?
I like Wish still. I wrote most of the songs for Wish in, like, you know, before even the first Austere album, so like 2005, 2006. And then it was recorded in 2009, which is what, like 15 years ago now. So even though it was released 12 years ago, it's like even older. You know, it sounds pretty sort of immature to me in places, but I do like that I kind of just did what I wanted. I wanted it to sound like basically Burzum meets Jean-Michel Jarre, and that's kind of what it sounds like. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I still like it. I'm proud of it. I'm happy. Yeah, it is what it is. But I think it was a good sort of opening statement from Germ. It was so different to Austere and so different to, you know, I think around the same time I did the Woods of Desolation album and stuff, and Germ was really its own thing, which I think was important back then. So. Yeah.
you already mentioned Burzum and Jar as influences for the music. That leads us actually to the second question, asking about like how do you even come up with the musical ideas that you combined in the end to create Germ? What are like the main influences to create this very special kind of style of music?
So I just basically, I remember I just wanted to do something, you know, at the beginning of Germ that I didn't have to well, you know, Mitch and I in Austere, for example, we've never argued about stuff, you know, we always are on the same page with our music, but I would never come to him for an Austere song and say, let's put this like trance section in it, you know, it just wouldn't fit. So I just wanted something where I could do anything I wanted, and I listen to a lot of sort of really diverse music, and I have a lot of influences from different styles, and it's not that I felt limited in other bands, but I just sort of wanted to incorporate other stuff that I like, and I mean, it's not out yet, but maybe it is by the time some people will watch this. But anyway, there's another Germ album coming out, and that's basically sort of the culmination of me doing whatever I want, and you know, it's got stuff from all sorts of different things, but yeah, everything from, you know, The Cure to Jar, like I mentioned, and to black metal, to classical music, to complete ambient, like the early stuff of Brian Eno and stuff. Like, it's sort of everything.
And what exactly are those black metal influences? Because I mean, in the end, Germ is a project that has like a lot of elements from different sorts of music. But in the end, like the I would say the like a part of the core of Germ is still rooted in black metal, I would say.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
What are those like? Or is it even possible for you to mention some influences that really come from black metal?
Yeah, well, look, I haven't kept up with current black metal at all, you know, for the last 2 decades really. The only new stuff I hear is sort of my friends' bands and what people show me. So for me, when I speak about my black metal influences, it's Burzum, as we said earlier, it's early Emperor, first couple of Dissection albums, you know, even then stuff like Dark Funeral, which you'd never hear in Germ, like that type of stuff, but it's still, that's the stuff I love. And stuff that's not really black metal, but a similar style, like Moon Sorrow and things. So all that stuff is, you know, where when I want to listen to black metal, that's what I go to. Enslaved, even De Mysterious and stuff, like all the classics basically. It's not often that I'll find, like Mitch from Austere, for example, he's really into black metal, and you know, he's always telling me to listen to new bands, but I just don't. I know what I like, and if I want to listen to black metal, I want to listen to anthems. I don't want to listen to some new band. Oh, yeah. So it just is what it is.
I actually, now that I think about the question again, it's like I actually heard, I don't know if I'm mistaken by that, maybe I am, but I heard some influence of Psy maybe, because Psy did at some point, like they experienced a lot, like they did almost this kind of avant-garde music at some point, and also combined like, you know, like a piano and like a synthesizer in their music.
Yeah, look, I wouldn't say I'm influenced by Psy, but I used to have Hail Horror Hail and whatever the one before that was, Infidel Art.
Infidel Art, yeah.
And anyway, I used to have those albums growing up, and I loved them, but I haven't actually listened to them in a very long time. But I think they were sort of coming from a similar place that I try to, whereas they just like do whatever the fuck they want, basically. And yeah, Psy were great actually. I haven't listened to them in ages, but maybe I will now.
Yeah, well, if I'm informed correctly, and I'm not sure about that because of something that you said earlier, you recorded Loss in the same period of time when you also recorded Wish.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
Yeah. So you also released it later in 2012. I mean, you already answered a part of that question, because I wanted to ask, like, did you have too much creative energy at the time, or what was the concept of it, like having like 2 releases in a short period of time?
Yeah, so sort of half of Loss was recorded at the same time as Wish, and then the other half of Loss, so like I don't know, like 2 of the songs were for the Grey Waters album that we never finished. So I took 2 of the songs that I'd written for that and basically reworked them sort of as Germ, and then with the songs left over from Wish, because we wanted to fit on a vinyl, so there was a couple of songs left over from that. I went to Eisenwald, the label back then, and said, hey, how about we do an EP as well? So it's, I mean, the Greywater stuff was recorded sort of the same time as Wish anyway, so yeah, it's basically all done at the same time. It's just some was for Greywater, some was for Germ, but it all ended up being Germ.
Yeah, I see. Because you recorded both of the albums in a very close time to each other. How do these records differ from each other from your perspective? Because Lost feels for me in a way a bit more depressing, if that's the correct term for it, than Wish. Although Lost has some more musical elements that don't fit in this description traditionally because of some songwriting decisions that you took. But what's from your perspective the difference between those albums?
Yeah, I guess Lost just went a little further, because it's got the piano track at the end where I collaborated with a concert pianist I know, and then the stuff for Greywaters, like the intro for Lost was originally the intro for the Greywaters album. That never got done, and Cold Grey Dawn, I think that's what it's called, the second last song on Lost, was actually written originally as a J-pop song that I completely reworked, because I used to write J-pop as a job, and so I don't know, that's sort of the first era of Germ, those two, and then when it was Grief next year, so that then sort of began the next phase.
I will have to ask a question in between here. You wrote J-pop music.
Yeah, so from maybe 2009, 10ish, somewhere around there, till about 2014, I was signed to a Japanese production company, and I would write J-pop and K-pop songs. Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, that's interesting side fact. You're a multi-talented musician. You're able to do basically everything on your own. I think, especially for younger musicians, it's very interesting to ask, how did you get there, and how does it influence you the way you're writing music? Also, maybe that's a question that's connected to this topic. How does the typical writing process look like for you, if it's even possible to generalize it?
So for Germ, I mean, I still usually write on guitar. I'm best at drums. I've been playing drums since I was 10 years old, and I took lessons, back in the early days. Everything else I'm self-taught, although I do have a diploma in music and sound production and stuff. So later on, I studied, music theory and sound production and all the rest of it. But with guitar and keyboard and stuff, I know what I'm doing. I'm not very good at those instruments. I wouldn't feel. I mean, I played keyboard for Midnight Odyssey in the last couple of tours, but it's quite simple stuff. I wouldn't really feel comfortable playing guitar and singing at the same time or anything. But I still usually start writing Germ stuff on guitar, unless it's an interlude or something. I'll usually come up with riffs and just record them and add to them as I go. And I hear stuff in my head, so sometimes I'll just sit down with an acoustic guitar and strum a chord, and then I'll just hear where it should go, and that's sort of just how I write, and then just build upon that.
And how did you come to the point that you actually are able to do so many things on your own, because you could basically do everything on your own.
Yeah.
This is something that a lot of musicians don't have. As a musician, you often have to go to you have to find other musicians for. I mean, of course, live playing is something different. But even for the studio, you need a drummer, or you need someone who plays a solo for you because you wrote it, but you cannot play it and stuff like that. How did you come to this position that you can actually
It's just practice. I mean, there's sort of no shortcuts. You just need to you know, if you're a guitar player and you want to learn drums, you just need to practice drums. There's no way around it, you know.
No.
I spent many years practicing different instruments, so yeah, that's basically just how I did it, you know. And I'm still a shit guitarist, so.
Okay, so 1 year later, in 2013, you already released Queef, which is in some ways very different from the first two records,
Yeah,
I
it
think.
is.
And it still has a very similar feeling in some parts, I would say. Like the overall atmosphere is sometimes very similar. But asking about that album, it's like what is your general inspiration? Let me rephrase it. What makes you making music?
So with Grief, I remember the time I just started a grunge band with a friend of mine, which never actually got going. But so I was really at that period in time on a big grunge kick, listening to, you know, especially Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Mother Love Bone, you know, all the old Seattle
Good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, so that was kind of my inspiration doing Grief. I was just listening. There's a song on there, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one with all clean vocals, and it's like, I Can See It in the Stars. It was, it's basically an Alice in Chains song almost. Like it's, I was just really listening to that stuff at the time, and that was sort of why the synths took a bit of a backseat. There's still the interludes and stuff, but I just wanted to do something more, I don't know, just with the synths less upfront than Wish and Loss. And I mean, there's still like the interludes, and then there's that one piano song that I did with Lucy, the concert pianist, that I did the song on Lost with. But yeah, it was basically just at the time I was doing that. And Butterfly was the first song I wrote for Grief. And inadvertently, I didn't realise this till someone commented on YouTube. Apparently I ripped off a Lunacy song with that, so
well,
sorry
it happens
about
once
that,
in a while that you whip
yeah,
off a song,
it was just
more or less.
subconscious, and
Yeah.
anyway, it's not identical, so it's fine.
Yeah,
But
sure.
yeah, I was just, yeah, and then I was just listening to tons of grunge, and I think you can hear it in a lot of the kind of, I don't know, the Jerry Cantrell riffs that are sort of sprinkled throughout. But at the same time, like, I was listening to a lot of actually old Emperor at that time too, which is why I think there's some sort of faster moments on the album. Yeah, it's just what I was into at the time. So.
Yeah, that's more like when we talk about like inspiration for the album. But what I meant is more like when it comes to the let's say emotional inspiration. Like what makes you making the music that you do with Germ? Because I mean it's like for example, when we talk about your crunch band that you wanted to build up at the time, you know, this is something completely different than what the overall atmosphere is in Germ.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What makes you sitting down and like saying, okay, now I'm in the mood, like. What puts you in the mood for saying like, okay, I do something like, for example, I can see it in the stars, you know, something like that.
Well, look, I just always write music. It's my day job, you know, as well as everything else. So it's all I do, basically. So I'll always just sit down and write, and I need to, like, even like now touring, we got like a month or something with Austere. after this.
Yeah.
And we only left Australia like four or 5 days ago, and already like I feel stifled almost that I want to sit down and record music. I've got ideas, you know, I'll get melodies in my head that I want to get out, and 95% of what I record I don't release. I've got tons of shit, but it's just something I have to do. Like I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel stifled if I don't.
Just became like a habit after
Yeah,
some time
it's an
to do
emotional
that.
release too. Like,
Yeah.
especially with Germ, not so much with the lyrics. I really struggle with writing lyrics, but I get my emotions out through the music, and you know that's just how I do it. So, yeah, doing Grief, you could probably sort of tell it was a tough time in my life around then, and basically that's how I coped, was to make that album.
So maybe that also leads, like this question leads a little bit in this kind of direction, because I would like to ask for the difference between working in Australia, because I mean you're from Australia, but now you're living in Siberia. What's the difference? Well, like, is there a difference for you, like working in Australia and working on music in Siberia? Like when we talk about these kind of external influences that are pushed upon you, basically, like no matter what you do, not even if you don't make music, but you know, these external influences, basically the question for like how does the change of place changes the way you make your music and the outcome of your music?
So I don't think it really like influences, like for example, I was in Siberia, you know, the first half of this year, and I was finishing the new Germ album and everything, and I worked exactly the same way as I did. So before we came over here, we just did a new Austere album. I spent 2 months in Australia, and Mitch and I recorded a new Austere album. We pretty much worked exactly the same way in either country, and you know, it's just one place you look out the window and it's snow and freezing cold, and the other place it's sunny and hot. Like, but I'm still, it all sort of comes from within. So I don't think I'm sort of influenced by any external factors. I think it'd be the same if it was in Germany doing it, or you know, Antarctica or whatever. It all just comes from within.
Okay, that's really that's very, very interesting. For the 3 albums that we discussed a little bit until now, like you released them on Eisenwald, and in 2016 you released Escape, which was your first album that was released on Prophecy Productions. Regarding this album, or like in general, like what's the difference for you about labels? Like what does it mean to you to have, like, what is a good label, you know? This is like always like really interesting thing, because you hear like always like different things from labels. Like what makes a good label for you?
I think most importantly, a label that won't interfere with, you know, what the artist wants to do. You know, a label, at the end of the day, their job is to sort of take the artist's vision and then promote that and get that to as many people as possible. That wouldn't be possible, you know, if the guy just uploaded to Bandcamp or whatever himself. Like, so I think, yeah, most important is that they don't try and, you know, you hear these stories about whatever major labels rejecting albums because it doesn't sound enough like the previous album or whatever. And I won't name names, but a friend of mine's band was on Nuclear Blast, and they delivered an album, this is probably a decade ago, and they came back and said, oh, it doesn't sound enough like Job for a Cowboy, who were like popular at that time. And they said fuck off, and went to a different label with that album. So like, yeah, I think most important is they don't stick their noses in where they don't belong. And Prophecy are good. Prophecy just, and Eisenwald, Nico never told me what to do, so you know, they let us do our thing and let me do my thing with Germ, and take over 10 years in delivering albums, so
Yeah. That's also a good thing when they don't put like a time pressure on you or something like that. maybe like in a very interesting question for young musicians, because recently when I was in Yugoslavia, I was talking with a lot of people, like also like young musicians, about music and also about Germ. And they're actually like some people who really love your music, who are really like interested in knowing how they can, if they want to make like more or less similar music than you do, like how like the question that I hear very often is like, how do I get the foot into the door of actually producing good music, and how do I get my music to the people that they at least have a chance to say it's shit or it's good.
So look, nowadays with social media, you can get your music to people easily, you know. And I honestly think if your music is good, it will be heard. You know, if people say, oh, I can't, you know, I've got the best album ever, but nobody heard it, so nobody knows. It's like, well, you know what? Like, if you put it out there, word of mouth is powerful and it will spread. And so many bands nowadays, like, it's not so much about getting like paid ads on Instagram and shit like that. Like, you just need to get it. Like, there's Bandcamp, there's YouTube, you know, there's so many places. Or just chuck it on Spotify and people will listen, it'll get added to playlists and you will get heard. But most importantly is, so young people wanting to do music and wanting to do this, before worrying about getting your music heard, I think it's important to do something original. Don't copy stuff that's been done before, you know, because why would I listen to a band that sounds like Mayhem, like De Mysteris, when that album already exists and is great?
Yeah.
So, you know, take influence from things, of course, but put your own sort of stamp on it. Make it your own, and then you can worry about getting it out there. And you know what, if you do a great album, a label like Prophecy, for example, will take the time to listen to it and give you feedback. If you know, if they turn you down, you go to the next one. And a lot of labels that I work with, like Avant-Garde Music, for example, they will listen to stuff from completely unknown bands. You don't even have to have a following. If you've got a great record, they'll probably sign you. Like, so you know, you just need to do good music, and then the rest will fall into place if you're smart about it.
I mean, the other question is maybe, and I'm saying that as a person that really dislikes social media a lot. It's like, is it even necessary? Because I think like nowadays, like a lot. I mean, what can I say about nowadays? You know, I'm still pretty young, but the thing is, I think that like a lot of young musicians really want to push forward as much as possible to get here, to get clicks, to get like numbers, basically. The other question is, I mean, is that really necessary if the essence of what you're doing is like very personal, very emotional music, or however you want to call it?
Yeah, no,
like,
it's fucking dumb. Like, I don't know if it's still a thing, because I try to stay away from social media as much as I can as well. I'm sure people have noticed I like post almost never on my social media stuff. So,
sure.
like, yeah, like bands buying likes. You know, a Facebook page with 20,000 likes, and then they make a post and there's like 4 people comment on it or whatever. It's like, what's the point? There is no point. Like, you go, oh, we need to look, you know, it looks good to have 20,000 likes. It's like, nobody gives a shit. All it means is like there's 20,000 accounts that don't exist that your stuff's going to. Like, there's still only 4 actual fans. Like, it's dumb, and bands that do it are fucking dumb. And sorry if you're offended by that, but buying likes and doing fake, just focus all your energy that you're trying to make yourself look popular, put into your music, and then you'll get actually popular.
Yeah, and I mean, there, for example, bands, I don't want to mention any names or something like that, but you know, there are bands that are like, I mean, they're doing like a good job for what they're doing, but like you said, they're basically just copying something that has been there before.
Yeah.
Like they don't really do anything special, but they buy clicks, for example. That's something that you can do apparently. I had no idea about it, but you can do that, for example. And you're just doing it for the sake of like gaining popularity, and I think that's something that
But
people
it's
should
not
be aware.
even real popularity. Like, what does it do? It just means that people, like, you can walk around with your dick in your hand saying, "Oh, 20,000 followers." It's
Yeah.
like, no, you don't. You got 100. Like, the other 19,900 are fake. You bought them and you wasted like however much money on it. Like, it's really, I don't know. That side of things, I think, is, yeah, it's bullshit, man. Like, I think people who do that are in it for the wrong reasons. If you're doing music for popularity, it's the wrong reason. If you're doing music to become famous or whatever, you should be doing music because you have something within you that you need to get out, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with that. So my last question is, well, what do you expect of Germ's? What can we expect from Germ's future now that we're talking about Germ? And what do you expect from your own musical way in the future?
So, okay, we start with Germ. It's, as of 2024, it's 8 years since the last Germ album, which makes it 10 years since that was recorded. I have a new album which it's 99.99999% done. It's sort of just, basically I just need to sort of sign off on it, bounce everything down, package it up and send it off to the label, and it's done. That's taken me 2.5 years and I'm still not happy with it, and it's sort of been a really difficult process because I've had to learn to let go, because I was just trying to get it how it was in my head and I just couldn't get there. So it's sort of as near as I can get it without redoing the whole thing, and anyway, that album will come out next year. It was meant to be this year. It was actually meant to be last year, but that didn't happen. So after that, I've got another album that's been written for years and years, and I've tried to record it twice and gave up on it because it just didn't work.
How so, if I can interrupt you?
Oh, so this is like back in 2016 I started recording it the first time, and we did drums. I was working at a studio and I got a friend of mine to engineer them, and he didn't really know what he was doing, and I wanted to really focus on my playing, and you know, we got in and I got the files and tried to sort of salvage them, but they didn't work, and that pissed me off, and then I wanted to re-record the drums, and I went into a studio and did it, but it just didn't feel right. I wasn't happy with how it was going, so I left that and anyway did the next album. But I'm going to revisit that again at some point, because that's just 2 long songs inspired by the Moonsoro album, Have a Teddy, I think how you say it. Just 1 long song side A, 1 long song side B. And then I got another album that I've written, another whole Germ album. So there's basically 3 albums. 1 will be next year. Hopefully 1 will be the year after, and 1 will be the year after. And after that, I don't know, with Germ, that it's really difficult for me to do that stuff and to get it out because it's so personal, and I do everything myself now, and it's just really difficult. So maybe that'll be it. I don't know, maybe after these 3 albums I'll want to keep going, who knows. But aside from that, yeah, I'm just I sort of do a little bit of film scoring and stuff, and I work with like writing meditation music and editing and everything you need to do to make a living in music. You sort of, you certainly can't make a living off black metal unless you're like one of the very few. So yeah, I'd love to get more into film scoring and stuff. I scored a surf movie last year, which was really cool, and I got another one coming up later this year. So you know, it's just more stuff like that. And yeah, we have a new Austere album that we've just finished, and yeah, 3 Germ albums. So we got heaps of stuff, and there's a new Autumn Storm album which is coming out, I think, before the end of this year. So
okay,
yeah, it's just
that's something that you will read about on darkart.com for like a review or something like that.
Yeah, a bad review.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see, yeah. Yeah, but it looks like, or it sounds like you have been very productive. When we talk about Germ, you have been like really productive, but you're also like
Yeah.
really you're like how do you say really trying your best to do exactly what is good for you, and not just recording something for the sake of releasing something.
Well, look, at the end of the day, the way I look at Germ especially, but all music I release is I need to be happy with it, because I don't do it, you know, if I'm happy with an album, then I don't care if it gets bad reviews, because I'm happy with it, you know. So the most important thing is that I like it, much more important than if other people do. And if other people do like it as well, then that's great, you know. It makes me happy as well, but I need to be happy with it. I'm not going to do something fake just to try and please people. I'm not going to put out something half-assed just for the sake of releasing music. It needs to be something that I'm happy with and I'm proud of. So.
Yeah, I think that's a very good attitude in the end. Yeah, so there's much coming up in the next months and years.
Look, three new Germ albums. Three new Germ albums in the next maximum 4 years. So
Right.
I'll make up for lost time. So.
All right, perfect. Yeah, that's a very good news for all the people who really enjoy Germ a lot, me included. So yeah, is there anything else you wanna say? Anything else you?
Oh look, I think I've talked too much already. People are probably sick of my shit, but yeah, no, thanks a lot for this.
Thank you very much.
The thoughtful questions and stuff, so it's been good.
Has been really great, and yeah, you really have to check out the music of Germ. We planned it in the album covers. You will find all the links and stuff like that to his music, not only Germ but also the other projects that were mentioned. You find it below, probably in these information boxes and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll keep you updated on darkart.com, and yeah, until next time, I guess.
Awesome, thank you.